December 4th, 1927. Jackie Youngman reporting for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
On the strange case of the Radium girls,
who claimed they were poisoned at the hands of their employer.
And now seek their day in court.
$250,000. That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000?
If you ask me, it's all a sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working, sure.
Doctors say the Radium girls have only a year to live.
Only 1 year to live and $250,000 to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do to ease your last suffering days on Earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy words of like I read castles.
I'd give it all to charity.
Then I'd travel around the world, first class with all my friends.
I'd play the stock market.
I'd buy my wife a fur coat and a diamond size in New Hampshire.
I'd use it to pay my medical bills. To pay off the second mortgage on our house. When my father took out to pay for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this entire ordeal.
struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirits.
For the sake of her family and friends.
It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know if I don't, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel knowing you have so little time left?
I try not to think about it.
But it must get to you sometimes, knowing what you...
And the company's getting fat off your labor.
And all I have to say about it is,
No comment! Don't you just want to punch somebody?
No, that won't do no good. I'd rather just think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Then I can do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in life as nobly as this young girl.
Went pretty well. The audience is on our side, and if they're on our side, we've already won.
Mr. Barry, I must object to this kind of histrionics.
I have nothing to do with that, Mr. White.
I've been in this game a long time, Mr. Barry. When I see a story like this, move over the wires, I'm not so naive as to believe a plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. White?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500.
That's not even a year's wages, Mr. Markley.
We think it's very generous considering your case won't survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law. And the law's clear, 2 years from the date of injury. Your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Barry. Very clever. I have to admire your imagination. You have a long way to go before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will take a great interest in this story and in the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt that will prove to be good press for the Consumers League. And you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know full well the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or should I say if, this case goes to trial, I only hope that's your opening argument, Mr. Barry. You'll have made our defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man.
Tell me again the purpose of these articles, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. That's the engine of reform.
You're antagonizing the company.
Then the strategy's working.
And what about the girls? How does it help the girls to read in a dozen different newspapers that they have so little time to live?
Mr. Barry, surely you can see the U.S. Radium Corporation cares nothing about the girls it's poisoned, but the average housewife in Orange cares very deeply, and so do millions of other women across the country. These women shop They buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome, and he knows it. That is why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. Wait and see.
Dear Miss Schaub, I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe, and I'm so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement that the well-being of the average worker is overlooked. I'd like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It is called Christian Science.
Dear Miss Fryer, I heard of your woeful situation in the Atlanta Constitution, and I'm prepared to offer you a solution. Venacine, a wonder tonic made from all natural ingredients. Venacine will restore your health and vitality. We are prepared to offer you girls a lifetime supply of Venacine in exchange for the exclusive rights of your pictures in our advertisements.
Dear girl, I read about you in the Billings Gazette. I run 100 head of cattle up here and do very well by myself. I've always longed for a companion and well equipped to offer you a comfortable home in your final hours. A girl like you has suffered so much. Don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Close with my picture.
Look at this, Catherine. This man actually said... Are you all right, Catherine?
Bleeding again.
Shall I get the nurse?
It did this before. It'll stop.
Maybe we should go.
No, don't go.
Don't you need to sleep?
Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, I might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if it don't go so well. Sometimes you don't come out of it so good. My mother's cousin, she went into the hospital for her appendix, and she didn't come home again.
Well, you just can't think like that, that's all. Look at this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. Here's one from California.
What if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose his house. We'll be on the street. You'll be on the street too, Grace. Your father must owe thousands. And you and Tom, you won't never get married.
Catherine.
How can you stand it, Grace? How can Tom stand it? I don't ever hear him complain.
Catherine, please. Once the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. All they gotta do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
You think so?
Sure. Once they see what kind of shape we're in, we'd be awful hard to ignore, don't you think?
That'll be something then, won't it? To see the look on Mr. Reader's face when we get on that stand.
Now, you want to read some more mail?
They didn't have no vanilla, so I got some chocolate.
Took you long enough.
Don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me on the way over here. All of them reporters and all of them asking after you.
Waiting for me to die.
No one is waiting for you to die.
It's true. One of them called my mother asking if I had died. And she said no. He sounded disappointed.
Try to eat a little of this. You'll feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Mike, what are you doing?
We need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000, that's what. What do you say, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
Who? That faith healer?
Herbalist, Mr. Carter, herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just the thing to get you girls back on your feet, and the graphic will pay for it. All we ask is for your exclusive rights to their story from here on out. See for yourself.
And you want to pay us to go see Bernard McFadden?
Easy money, Pop.
Let me see.
They're serious, Grace.
The graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
Grace, what does your father owe on the house still?
I'm not sure exactly.
And that last medical bill? That was a couple hundred at least.
At least.
Maybe we should think about this.
And all we do is talk to this herbalist fella.
Of course we'll have to get our money's worth. A regular series of features with pictures following the course of your treatment, your illness, recovery, or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you print whatever you want.
Maybe we add color. Everybody adds color.
It don't sound so bad.
Maybe we should talk to Miss Wiley about this.
Miss Wiley? What's it to her? You're the one with bills to pay.
It wouldn't be right to do something like this without talking to Miss Wiley.
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
You'd take it if it came from the company.
The company owes us a lot more than that.
Yeah, if you ever see it.
Grace, maybe we should do it.
It just don't seem right.
You're gonna talk to them reporters anyhow. Why not get something out of it?
He's right, you know. Why give your story away when people are crazy to read it? Believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran the feature on you, bang. Sold out every copy at every newsstand. Everyone can sympathize with the plight of some poor, sick girl facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment in motherhood.
I'd like you to go now. My friend is tired and she needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure, think it over. I understand. You're worried about what people will say. But hey, you gotta think about your own interest here. There's no reason you shouldn't get something out of all this. Look out for number one. That's the way. Everyone's out to get what they can, for sure. Why should you sit back and keep your nose clean when everyone else is up to their elbows in it?
Gentlemen, I've treated a number of your girls who claim they got sick here. One of them, the girl's jaw had rotted so bad, I removed it just by lifting the bone out of her mouth. As you can see.
That's all right, Dr. Neff. You can put that away.
Maybe you'd rather look at it on an x-ray. This was an expensive case to treat. And I never did get no compensation. The girl died. The family never paid.
I sympathize, Dr. Neff, but what has that to do with us?
Here it is straight. There's going to be a lot more girls coming out and saying they got sick here. So maybe we could do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, that sort of thing.
I'm not following you.
Suppose you was to give me a list of the girls who worked here. I'd see to it that there are no more lawsuits.
You think you could cure them?
I couldn't put out a cure, no. I'm saying I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
Well, I'd examine the girls for radium necrosis, and then come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Peoria, say, or something else. Quite a few cases will just die natural death anyway, and the rest we could put off a while, until the statute of limitations kicks in, and it's too late to sue.
You'll persuade them they haven't got a case against the company?
Exactly. And if it did come to court, I would testify that it was some other problem. And that would be a strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
What makes you so sure that these girls will come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'd be paying.
Exactly. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
Exactly what are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I need $10,000 for my trouble so far. And for every girl I agree to see from here on out, $2 for every visit, plus expenses for the x-rays. I'm suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off it's not right.
No.
All right, we'll put it
We'll
right.
do nothing of the kind. Your proposal is immoral. It will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral, you say? You're fine when you talk about morals.
Mr. Lee.
When you got your own hard guns, you're ready to testify.
Those are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses? Paid lackeys is more like it. None of them got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'll play ball with me. Believe me, there are plenty other folks interested in the information.
You're threatening me.
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader. Just looking out for my own interests. Same way you look after yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neff to the door.
All right. You want to play ball? Fine. But believe me, when all this shakes out, it won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements of what happened this morning. We'll send them to the State Dental Society. Then Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
That's a great idea.
I agree.
I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
What do you mean?
We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says we're having trouble getting girls to work here,
Yes, I've lost some contracts because of it.
and it's getting worse.
And the papers are full of stories about those girls.
Taking them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put out?
Only to say we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
I don't know. Perhaps we should reconsider. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have testimony from the dentist who treated those girls.
Neff could be very helpful to us. We should retain him.
Retain him as what? An extortionist?
As an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn?
Dr. Flynn is a highly respected professor at Columbia University. Neff is a neighborhood dentist.
But Dr. Flynn treated some of those girls, didn't he?
He didn't treat them, he merely consulted with them.
He dispensed medical advice, Arthur.
It wasn't medical advice, it was an expert's opinion, a scientific opinion.
How about this? We retain Neff and don't put him on the stand. Just to keep him from testifying against us rule.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, I agree. That is the most important thing.
Could you agree to something like that, Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader?
Edward, we can't possibly do this. We can't get into bed with a man like Neff.
Arthur's right. We don't want to do business with Neff.
He could hurt us. We have to take steps.
Neff has already given us everything we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for a postponement.
Three months to study an x-ray? It's outrageous. And the girls, did you see the girls looking at me? Their eyes were like saucers, terrified.
Mr. Gregory,
They're not going to hold out 3 more months. Our Captain John could barely make it to the courtroom today. And Grace, she was trying so hard not to cry. And of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls. Get some rest, girls. That's the best I can do. Get some rest.
You're doing wonderfully, Mr. Berry. This is a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Markley. And Reader, how can they stand there and play this kind of game with those poor girls sitting right there?
Maybe this can help to explain. I received a letter.
You'd think the company would be eager to take care of this with the kind of publicity it's got. But no, Markley seems to enjoy the sport. See what he can get away with. It's cold. Very cold.
Mr. Barry,
What's this?
it's from Catherine Drinker, Mrs. Cecil Drinker of Harvard. She's an industrial hygienist also. She worked with Dr. Drinker on his study of the radium plant. It was a joint effort, actually.
That's very interesting, Miss Wiley. But we've already seen that document. There's nothing in it to help us.
Please, Mr. Barry, you've only seen part of it. This is the complete report. I received it this morning. Mrs. Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers, and she was particularly disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger, one where Mr. Lee says that this study clears the company.
He doctored the report. Reader doctored the report.
Apparently, he pulled out one page listing the flood conditions of a dozen employees and tried to pass it off as the entire thing. Doesn't look so bad by itself, does it? But in context, it's a somewhat different picture.
We can use this.
Yes, that should impress the judge.
The judge. Miss Wiley, I'm not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to call that contact of yours at the Nerd World. If Rita won't let us present our evidence in court, then you can read about it in the newspaper.
January 12th, 1928. Jackie Youngwood here for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Radium girls go to court today.
Radium girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor, injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement,
ruin.
and death. And as the clock ticks away the precious moments,
A hearing begins in Chancery Court.
where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement,
As plaintiff's attorney Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure,
showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor,
showing that it distorted the results of a Harvard study.
concealing the ill effects of its products.
Read all about it in the Ledger.
Read it in the graphic. We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
And they can point out to these days.
If only other people would do the same. Mrs. Mitchell from across the street, she walked right past me this morning. Didn't say a word to me. I know she saw me. And the woman at the market, and the greengrocer. The way they all glanced at each other. And at the club, Mrs. Middleton and the other ladies, the whispers.
Why don't you put that away? Read the journal. I saw that here the other day. Why don't you read
At
that?
the club today, someone actually had the nerve to say to me, "Is it true? Is it true?" she said. "Did your husband poison those women?" I said, "Mrs. Cowles, if you think it is true, then why speak to me at all? I certainly would not associate myself with a woman whose husband did such things."
Why do you go there then, if that's where the people are?
I've been a member for years.
Well, what do you want me to say, Diane? I knew we were poisoning people, but we didn't want to stop because we were making too much money. Is that what you want me to say?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true. Or especially if it were true.
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sakes, Diane! Don't you see what's going on? It's Francis shocking. He's behind all this. He's jealous of our success. He's feeding information to the Consumers League so they can railroad us.
Why would Consumers League?
Bunch of radical men, do-gooders everything where rents probably. Socialists! That's what they are. Same thing with that club you belong to.
What?
You women think you can go around and fix the world's problems.
I can't. I'm sorry.
You're going to quit that club.
Quit the club?
And stop talking to the idiot Mrs. Middleton.
You're not
She doesn't
making
know
any
anything.
sense.
None of those women know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with Drinker's results.
Arthur!
I have a fiduciary duty to the company.
I can't listen to this.
Diane, I have documents. I have articles. People with tumors the size of baseballs. Radiotherapy, the tumors disappear. Diane!
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
We save lives. We make lives better. Mild radium therapy invigorates. You can't really think of a liar. Diane. You can't really believe I would set out to poison people. Ken. Diane.
No.
Do you think I would ever do anything to hurt you? Or to hurt Harriet?
Certainly not.
Then
13 girls have died.
people die every day. The newspapers are full of death notices. Young, old, infants. Children younger than Harriet die every day.
But they worked for you.
They also worked other places. Diane, I have a report from Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene, just like Drinker, who says there is no connection between our plant and these illnesses.
Then what could the cause be?
I don't know, Diane. I really don't know. I've done everything I possibly could to find out, but no one knows. Please say you believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie.
You remember the day I told my father I wasn't going into the ministry? What you said to me that day?
You can do as much good in a boardroom as you can in a church.
You remember.
You think I would forget?
I was such a scared kid then, and he was an icon. If it weren't for you, I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have, Artie. I know you would have.
And now he's looking for signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? That my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
You save lives, Diane.
You save lives.
Everything I've done, it's all for you. You know that, don't you? It always has been.
I know.
Please don't let there be another reporter. Don't answer it.
Arthur!
Is that Mr. Lee?
Charlie, for God's sakes!
I just got off the telephone with someone from the Ledger.
This couldn't wait until morning.
I'm sorry. Good evening.
Mr. Lee?
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
Charlie, that's not possible. I just saw him last week.
He was just here a month ago for cards. You were just here.
Marlon's already done the autopsy. He says there's severe anemia.
He's blaming the radium.
The report from the ledger's going to run on page 1. I told the reporter we would issue a statement at 8 o'clock. That's when she needs it, so it can run tomorrow.
One of the services.
Sorry?
The services.
I don't know.
We'll send them flowers. Diane?
Of course. I'll call Louise.
Yes, that's right. Call Louise.
I should go see her right now. Or Louise, we should go see her right now.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter from the Ledger told me she's filing a wrongful death action. I worked up a statement. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently in decline.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course or sailing with a garden party. He kept a beautiful garden.
Let's just take care of this in the morning, Charlie.
You're right. Sorry to bring the bad news. Good night, Mrs. Lear.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be excessive at times. I don't know what we'll say, but we have to say something that shareholders will expect it.
You need to explain, Marty.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It's all right. You need to explain. We're going to throw this away now.
There's half a case under the sink.
And we'll get rid of that too. We'll have no more of it in this house.
I'll do it. Diane, I'm in too far to quit.
I really didn't expect you to.
February 21st, 1928. To Mr. Raymond Berry, from Harrison Martland, Medical Examiner, Essex County. We have examined the remains of the deceased Amalia Masha. Our studies reveal the following. Radioactive substances have been found in large quantities in the upper jaw, the lower jaw, and the lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Wiley of Consumers League declares, new evidence shows company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has turned over portions of her jawbone that he removed from her mouth. This x-ray film shows the jawbone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No. This gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the Radium Corporation broke his long silence with this shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to men.
Dr. Vonsashaki, is it true you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah, and given my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Maja absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
Doctor, what does this say for mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the deaths of all these poor girls. It should be considered one of the most dangerous substances.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis that the radium girls have only a year to live?
From what I've seen, they'd be lucky to last that long.
I'll tell you what we should have done. We should have took that reporter up on her offer when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000. Don't make me laugh.
We should have talked her up too. Because I'll tell you what, they'd have paid. And I'll tell you what else we should have
Stop telling me what we should have done. Lots of things we should have done. It don't do no good to think about them now.
All right, keep your shirt on.
Which do you think? The pink or the blue?
So what's Barry say? Is he gonna go back to the company?
I like the pink, but it don't fit so good these days.
He's gonna try to talk the company up a bit?
Miss Wiley thinks another interview will do the job. So I say, what's one more, you know?
Doesn't hurt to try, don't you think? What if they came up to $5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up. I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement. It's just a way for them to hide.
Then let them hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They're gonna win anyway.
Unless you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake! You got one lawyer working for nothing, up against 6 others who are getting a bundle, and you think you got a chance?
You know what I found out today? They put LED screens in the laboratory for the technicians. Did they give us LED screens?
Jesus.
What do you think? 100 girls in a room and they're gonna spend that kind of money on us?
Grace.
And they wanna keep it all quiet. And Miss Wiley says they're gonna close down here and move
Grace.
across the river to New York to open up another factory like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here? I thought the idea was to get a little money to settle your debts. Get a doctor, and we'd move on with things.
Move on with things.
You're still wearing my ring.
Tommy.
Grace, there's a house for sale in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It's already got farm wallpaper. And best of all, it's only 2 blocks away from the school.
The school. What do we need with the school?
Plan ahead for once.
Tommy, what do you think is gonna happen after all this is over? Do you think everything will just go back to the way it was?
Why wouldn't it?
Gotta see the surgeon again.
Okay.
I got some fluid and he's gonna drain it.
All right.
And then he says there'll be more.
So we'll deal with it when it comes.
And more. And then more and then still more. Why can't you see that? How can you talk about buying houses and getting married when you know there's nothing?
Grace, I can't think about that. I just want for us to be together now. I want to come home to you at night. My wife, my home. I'm too old to be living like this in-between life. I promise, Grace, I'll do whatever it takes to make things easier for you.
Here.
Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
I don't want it.
Please tell me, are you gonna make me say it?
You're just tired. You're not getting enough sleep. I'll come back to see you tomorrow.
Tommy.
Get some sleep.
Tommy. Tommy, don't do this to me! Tommy!
Oh, Charlie.
Aren't you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're taking the wrong approach here. I think we've got to settle this case. We've got to make a reasonable offer to those girls.
No, Arthur, we agreed. We need a definitive victory. Otherwise, we might more of the same nonsense.
Things have changed.
I know you and Dan were close, but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Francis Shockey's going to testify.
We can deal with it.
How?
More money in his pocket.
Now you want to bribe him?
Not bribe, consideration.
Consideration.
For an expert witness. Whatever Barry's paying him a little more.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. Don't you see? What Francis Shockey wants is to be free. That is why he's testifying for those girls, and that is why he'll never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
If you settle with these girls, you'll have to settle with the rest of them. Neffen's right about this. This is just the beginning.
Tell Mark that you get a conversation going. Come up with a figure the girls can accept.
Arthur, what are you trying to do to me? Are you trying to wipe me out?
Gotta get this off the table.
Every penny I've saved in the last 7 years I've sunk into this company. Why? Because of you. You said it was a sure thing. No miss. Why work for Francis Shockey when we can work for ourselves? Remember that? Take a chance, Charlie? Take a chance?
Charlie, listen, we were fooled. Francis Shockey fooled us all. The only thing we can do now is try to clean it up as best we can.
Do this, and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down, Charlie?
Not me.
Wow.
Don't you know? They're one vote away from getting rid of you.
And whose sword is that, Charlie?
Arthur, have you so little faith in me?
I'm still a stockholder, Charlie. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I'll still be on the board.
And so on the hook if this company goes under. Think about that next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15th, 1928. To Raymond Barry, attorney at law. From Edward Markley, counsel, U.S. Radium. One of our key witnesses has encountered a serious scheduling conflict, which makes it impossible for him to testify in April. We have therefore requested an extension until June. As for your request for a settlement, every case involves some humanitarian aspect. Therefore, I am afraid that cannot be the basis for settling this one. But I have no doubt you will be rewarded for the good works you are doing. If not in this world, then in the next.
Tommy, please. Please, Tommy.
Rise and shine!
Madam Curie?
Time for work!
Am I late? I set the alarm.
We have $5,000 to pay before breakfast. Up. It's all for you, Warford.
Please, I'm so very tired.
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
But I'm dying.
And who is it?
Get up, Grace.
Irene!
Get up, sleepyhead. You'll never make quota like this.
It's not fair. I'm 26. I should be married. I have my own home and children.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
I know. I did.
But why? Why do we have to make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace.
Science, family, every life is sacrificed to something. It's all a matter of choosing which.
I didn't get to choose. I didn't have the choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine, don't do that! Catherine!
Oh, now look what you did, Grace. She's bleeding all over the dials.
I'm sorry, Catherine. I never should have said anything.
No problem. What's one more dead dial painter?
Huh?
Grace.
Mama?
Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute now.
Mr. Markley.
He's bringing them papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She told me she might stop by. Did she?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came through the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it. Look, Grace, you gotta get ready.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear. I know. After you talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over there and see how she is. Now, put a comb through that hair.
I dreamt that she died.
Grace, don't speak such
If
things.
she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage, Grace.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500, not even a year's wages.
Well, it's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart. But we gotta be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never get inside that courtroom. And even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Berry thinks we can.
Well, Mr. Berry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor and the coal man and the bank. You can't expect folks to treat us like charity just because you're sick.
I'm not asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down. But if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. Now we'll take that money and we'll pay the bills, and whatever's left, you and Tom can have. A little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Mom.
Now why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Don't just...
Can't you see? He can't face the thought of you not being with us anymore.
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? Why, I can't imagine. No point to it. Ma, you didn't tell me I had mail. New Mexico. They just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Ma! Miss Wiley was...
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma said you brought papers?
Yes, the terms spelled out as we explained in our letter. $1,500 to you. I've got a check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in the triplicate.
Grace, Mr. Markley's a very busy man.
Oh no, please, take your time. Look it over carefully. If you prefer, I can leave it and come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless from any further action.
No more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just for me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You never said nothing about it being confidential.
That's standard for most legal settlements, Miss Fryer. We like to protect our privacy and your privacy also. It cuts both ways. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the settlement, and so do we.
Now that seems fair, Grace.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the terms of the settlement
Mom!
I don't mind.
What is contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in that one. It's in the other papers you filed. When we did the lawsuit, it said the Radium company's defense was the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an alpha hag all day. Maybe you could...
Maybe you could just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley came by?
You already made up your mind and she'd only try to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, I'll take...
Mom, what did she say about Catherine?
She said it doesn't look good.
Perhaps I should come back later when Miss Fryer is feeling better.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I'd really like an answer because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. I went to work at the Radium plant because my folks needed the money. At your factory, they told us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I wasn't raised to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I never asked questions. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There is nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret your situation, Miss Fryer, but there is no evidence to tie your condition to any action by the U.S. Radium Corporation.
And why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian gesture.
Mr. Markley, I'll take
Month
it.
after month, you put us off. Delay after
struggling, knowing how sick we were, how desperate and tired. Humanitarian gesture. You're waiting for us to die.
Grace, please stop this now.
Mom, one by one, I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way. And you think I should be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Miss Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances. I would advise you take it because it won't be on the table for very long.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer does not sign within 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer permanently.
Grace.
He's lying.
I beg your pardon, miss.
You mean to tell me that if I don't sign these now, but I came back a week from now saying I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court? You'd still rather some judge get a look at me and take your chances I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours, you're just trying to bully me.
Very well then, Miss Fryer. I'll take that for a no, and we'll see you in court.
You will see me. If they have to take care of me in there, you'll see me. You and Mr. Reader both.
Grace, you call that man back.
Going to court, Mom.
And what are you trying to get? You know you can't win.
I want those people to look at me. I want them to look at me and explain how it's my fault I got sick working in their factory.
And what will that get you? What?
Mom, all my life I've done what other people tell me to do. I quit school because you said I should. And I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said I should. I never said, please, can't I finish school? I never said I don't like the taste of this paint. I never asked questions, even though I knew something wasn't right. At night, I'd lie in bed and see my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow. My shoes on the floor, my hairbrush and comb on the dresser. So much light, Mom, so much light. And I never once questioned, I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Arthur, so is he making all this noise?
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got the messages.
As we are no longer in business, I thought it's best not to respond.
Is that what this is about?
Perhaps the drink will calm your nerves.
You never told us the paint was dangerous. You never said a word about it. Not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. You invented the paint and you didn't know. How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should put you through that wall.
Perhaps you should. But you will not. You will sit down, you will have a drink, and you'll calm yourself.
I was not the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yeah, I was a technical man, Arthur. Sit down.
I sold watches, for God's sakes. I was a salesman.
A good one at that, Arthur. Very good head of business you have. Not so much for the science, but for the business. Always you find ways to cut the costs without losing the quality. That's a gift, Arthur. So why not to drink?
Jesus! What's the matter with your hands?
It's been like that for some time now.
What? Have you been dipping them in ink?
Dipping them in ink? How fond of the pretty story, Lord? No. Dr. Martin tells me it's necrosis. Necrosis of the tissue. The cells, they are dying. With the dial painters in the jaw, it started, the necrosis. With me, and the fingers.
I had no idea.
Now why should you? It's been a long time since I've seen you.
How long?
I've known for a while. Miss Wiley from the Consumers League persuaded me to assist Dr. Marlin in testing the dial painters for radium exposure. There's not a lot of people you know who can measure that kind of thing. So she came to me, knowing that I had the equipment and of course the skill. I didn't want to believe her either, Arthur. I didn't want to believe that the girls could be sick with working with my paint. So I wanted to show her a mistake. I agreed to help Dr. Martin. So Dr. Marlin and I conducted expired air tests on the girls. It was then that my own breath registered radioactive. And then my fingers, they began to turn black. Now you wish to have words with me.
I'm sorry.
Well, perhaps you should set up an appointment yourself with Dr. Marlin.
Me? What for?
Arthur, don't you ever remember the glowing dust on your shoes when you went home at night?
How could I miss it? I trapped it all over the house.
Well, perhaps you should know that a great deal is out in the lungs. Look familiar.
It's our promotional piece.
An excellent promotion, if I may say. How many new sales did it count for?
I didn't track it exactly, but I like to think it helped the medical market out quite a bit.
Page 96.
What?
The last chapter. Read it to me. Open it.
Last chapter. Radium. Dangerous effects.
Dangerous effects. Now, how many articles are there?
About 18, it looks like.
Now, how far back did they go?
I don't know.
The first one there. Look.
1906.
1906. Now, let me see. You plan to go to court and say that you had no idea that radium was dangerous. How do you plan to do that, Arthur? How do you plan to do that when your own book says it was?
I never really read the book.
What?
I never really read the book. Another man prepared the piece. I just glanced at the gullies. I never really read the book.
How do you mean you never read the book?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece.
Which you never read?
I think you will find, Mr. Barry, that very few company presidents read their promotion word for word.
But it has your name on it. You authorized the release of the book. You had final approval of the content.
Mr. Lee was responsible for our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those activities to him.
Now, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1980.
Yes, as plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
4 years.
During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have seen the girls pointing the brushes on their lips.
I don't recall it.
You're saying you went to the studio every day and you never saw a single girl put a brush to her mouth?
I said I don't recall it.
You don't recall it? What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're not the young man to have such a faulty memory.
Objection?
I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness was smart. We have no questions for this witness, Your Honor. All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling. But, Your Honor, we have yet to present our defense.
I realize that, Mr. Markham, but the key is to determine standings. Now, I heard enough these 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison, and nothing your witness say could change the fact, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the danger.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I'm asking that the defense rest without calling any witnesses. We conclude this hearing today and schedule this case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule the statute's limitation has not been exhausted, and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I have a very full schedule with 2 other cases pending, and a key witness is not available until the end of the summer. We can't be available until September.
Your Honor!
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but our chief expert witness is associated with an institution of higher learning. This is the busiest time of year for him, and I cannot expect him to attend.
Mr. Markley is the one responsible for that situation. He's the one who has demanded continuous delays.
Your Honor, we have just waived our right to present witnesses at this hearing. Surely you will not force us to make our defense at trial without the presence of our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. Trial set for September.
This hearing is adjourned.
Edward. Why can't Flynn appear?
He's going to Europe.
Europe? But he's known about this for months. Why would he? Oh, very clever, Edward. How long do you plan on keeping this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley.
Mr. Barry, congratulations. Never thought the court would go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. One is so ill, she can't appear in court.
My client has a right to make his defense.
We will not wait till September. I can promise you that. One way or another, we will find her on the docket, and your expert witness be damned!
That girl is still staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal, that I planned this somehow. How do I make her understand that I didn't want this to happen?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
But she looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death, Arthur.
Grace, that man, Miss Wiley. He won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me like I'm not even here.
It doesn't matter, Grace. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Jackie Youngwood for the Ledger.
Raymond Berry seeks trial date for early summer.
As U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the Ledger. Your first source for news.
The company also agrees to pay the medical expenses of each girl for the remainder of their lives, and the girls have agreed to a periodic exam by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement?
Is it an admission of responsibility?
What about other pending cases?
It was purely for humanitarian purposes that the company agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
U.S. Radium Corporation is pleased to have brought this lengthy litigation to a close and looks forward to serving its customers and community for many more years to come. And that's C.B. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey Consumers League, our press statement.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Miss Wiley?
Finally, these poor girls receive some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Thank you, Miss Wiley.
And the spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one L and Catherine with a K.
Well, looks like we're back in business, Edward.
What's your game plan?
Didn't I tell you? I found a buyer for those tailings piling up behind the building on Alden Street.
Oh.
Some contractor from Montclair needs a little infill.
That's perfect.
Now, Catherine, this won't do. That's better. I brought my watercolors today. It's a beautiful day to paint, too. The trees are starting to turn, but it's still warm. Too warm for a sweater and not much of a breeze. A fine day to paint.
I thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
It's quiet up here.
Yep.
Well, I guess if you can rest in peace, this is the place to do it, huh?
I guess so.
What do you call that?
Watercolors. I'm a little weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, it's good, Grease. It's nice.
First thing I bought with the settlement money was some paints.
Big spender.
Then I bought a car.
I didn't know you could drive.
I can't. My brother's gonna teach me. He drove me up here today.
Grace, if you wanted someone to teach you, I'd teach you.
You got better things to do now, Tommy.
You know about that?
Orange just isn't that big.
I meant to tell you myself, Grace. That's why I came looking for you.
It's okay, Tommy. I'm happy for you. For both of you.
No hard feelings, then?
Tommy, you think I have time for that?
I'm glad it worked out for you, Grace. Are you glad? I mean, you don't feel like you backed down too soon, do you?
We didn't back down. They backed down.
It was over here.
Oh, not this again.
This is where I saw her that last time.
This is morbid, Papa.
I stood there for a while. She didn't notice me at first, but then something made her look up.
Oh my.
No wonder Mama won't go for drives with you anymore, if this is how you spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me, and I looked away.
Just like in the courtroom that day. He can't bring himself to look at me.
You need a new hobby. Retirement isn't good for you.
My heart started pounding, Harriet. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance, and then there she was. And I had my chance.
What'd you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's almost as if he's afraid to look at me.
I had my chance, and I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me.
Oh, Papa, that was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it? It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about things like that then. Science just wasn't as advanced. The way it is now.
I think back on those days, and I try to think, how could it have happened? I remember so clearly climbing those stairs to the studio on Alden Street, and at the top of those stairs, those wide, high windows, and the slant of light, the way it hit the floor, the way the floor creaked under my feet, the smell of the place, chalky like an old schoolroom, and all those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to the task in their plain green smocks, their delicate little hands moving so quickly. No man who worked the way those girls did, so carefully, so fast. Those brushes flying from the dials to the paint, to the dials, to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, I cannot remember their faces. I never saw their faces.
like to thank the boosters and to everyone who bought fundraising from students who fundraised for this club. We'd also like to thank hair and makeup, the light crew. We'd like to thank Greg, and we'd like to thank Mrs. Gardner. And we'd like to thank the parents who have stayed and ironed and worked at the Candy Grandstand. And we'd like to thank the entire stage crew who worked very hard. And now we'd like to thank three very important people. So first, we're going to thank Mrs. Drum.
Next, we'd like to thank Mrs. Gardner.
All right, there she comes.
And we'd also like to thank our choreographer, Erica.
She's here in spirit. So you can hold the flowers. We'd like to thank you all for coming out and supporting us, and we'd like to thank you also for being here for us to represent this event in history that was very important and needs to be remembered. So thank you very much for coming out.